legitimate issue, the thing that every single Phillies fan has been worried about from last offseason through the offseason where Dave Dombrowski didn't address it, through spring training, the first half of the season, the trade deadline where he didn't really address it. This fucking lineup, Anthony, made up of guys that get paid very, very well to do a job, to put balls in play, preferably get some extra base hits, maybe crush a homer or two every once in a while. Guys like Kyle Schwarber who have had MVP caliber seasons, he's hitless in his last 16. Is it 16 at-bats? Like, it's bad. Bad for Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
Harper had the embarrassing rivalry. What the hell did he call it? The rival set of things. I saw Spike Eskin lost it about it. Bill Colarulo then tweeted about it. Was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I thought it was dumb, but okay. So Harper has a bad first game, has a better second game, although late in this one with an opportunity to get this team back into things, maybe even win the game or take a lead or get things heading that direction. He doesn't put together a very good at-bat. You have the Castellanos of the world who have essentially been reduced to being a platoon guy. Also not great. Trey Turner doesn't put together a competitive at-bat. And you look at all these guys, and then you look at the Alec Boehms of the world who you go like, yo, shouldn't you be better than this at this point? You look at those guys. They don't perform late in this game when the heart of your order coming up is really, fundamentally, right, supposed to be the time that this team takes that lead and maybe starts to exercise this Citi Field demon, this giant monkey they've got sitting on their back. And all of a sudden, it's like Harrison Bader's the guy who delivers the big clutch hit, the 2-run home run to tie the game. And the big money guys came up incredibly small. And people are concerned, Ant, because obviously this happened last season when this Phillies team was unable to put the Mets out of their misery during the regular season, which we talked about a lot on this show. They could not get the job done against the Mets last postseason. And while we like to say LOL Mets as we watch off in the distance, last night wasn't great. The end of the game specifically with the big money guys, not great. Don't tell me you're going to Phillies apologist this one to me. Where did you land on those late game at-bats or lack thereof?
Well, see, again, I think it comes down to you're not wrong about what you talk about in the moment, right? But to kind of say that they're not hitting is a little bit of a fallacy, right? I mean, it really is.
At the end of the game.
Yeah.
End of the game.
So you're talking about one at bat for each guy.
Clutch time, right? Important part of the game.
And I have no problem with, but it's a 5-5 game at that point. It's not like they had not scored or have only had one run or trouble scratching stuff out. They'd scored 5 runs. So I agree with you. Like, I thought Trey Turner's at bat with the go-ahead run at third base in the 8th inning, and he strikes out, I thought was terrible. I thought he was way out in front. I thought he's got to have a better approach. He's a little over anxious in that at bat. And then in the top of the 9th, Schwarber leads off and he strikes out, but he just missed hitting a monstrous home run in that at bat. He hit it to the last row of the second deck, and it was foul. Yes. So, like, you look at that and go, I know, but is that an awful at bat? I think Harper striking out, I think that was, but he had 3 hits before that in the game. He had 3 hits.
Pitch recognition on that last at bat was kind of shoddy too. Is that him trying to do too much in that situation? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like a guy who's just trying to get on.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's probably looking at it like, all right, Kyle just made it out. I need to hit a solo home run to put us back ahead, rather than let me just get on base and let the next guy come up behind us. And I think that's
which, in fairness, is kind of how the Mets approach the bottom of the 9th, right? Like, to me, like, watching the Mets at bats in the bottom of the 9th. I mean, granted, it's a home game. They have the benefit of getting to bat last. It's a little bit different pressure wise. They also won the first game, all that.
Yeah.
And again, the Phillies haven't won at Citi Field since before Abe Lincoln was shot. So you take all that into consideration. Like, the Mets hitters look like they were just trying to get on base more so than like try to play hero ball. I don't know. Is that, like, ultimately, do you look at it and say that's kind of what doomed the Phillies last night?
I think that's the most fair criticism of this lineup, is that they sometimes get to a point where they feel like they have to be the hero. They have to be the guy who has the big monstrous blow that opens things up rather than just passing the bat. And I think that is a very, very fair criticism of this team all the way through the lineup. I think it happens far too often. But I do not necessarily think that that they always come up small just because they did in 2 games against Arizona and in 2 games against the Mets last year. It's too small of a sample size to say they always come up small, because when you look at their numbers, all told, compared to the rest of baseball, they are top 10 in the league in every statistical category. That tells you that 2/3 of this is just what baseball's become. And I was having this discussion with Bob the other day, like, you're watching the Phillies and the Mets play. It's actually last night. Through the first 4 or 5 innings, like, nobody's scoring, nobody's getting on base, and nobody's doing anything. And he's like, do these 2 teams are they just not good? And I said, the funny thing is that they are good, but this is what's considered good in baseball today.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, even longer than that, this would not be considered good.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I worry. Ant. I feel like at this point, you say it's a small sample size. I look at it in terms of critical moments. Like,
well, sure.
You
Sure,
can
it's
have
critical.
you can have guys that put up stats in relatively meaningless moments. Here, let's do the cross-sport comparison. What was one of the things that dogged Claude Giroux as a member of the Flyers? A lot of people would say Claude Giroux could score points against bottom-feeding teams. He could score them in the first period of games. When the game was ultimately on the line, did he deliver? I don't know. You can make that point. A more recent example would be Morgan Frost. We all love Morgan Frost. Great guy. Enjoy your time out in Calgary, fella. But, like, you can hit home runs. You can drive in runs. You can get on base. You can get a few hits early in the game like Harper did. So we're not going to, shit on Bryce Harper here, because, the second game of the series, it wasn't a bad performance out of him. But, when it's nut crunching time and, when it really is put up or shut up time, somebody from that highly paid core has to deliver in some way. And it's not even a matter of all right, cool, Schwarber goes up there, almost hits a home run. Harper goes up there and looks like he's swinging for the fences, which is only going to pull you within 1. It doesn't even get you a tie game. It doesn't even get you it gets you a 1-run lead. You feel good or whatever. My issue, Ant, is that this team is too well paid and too top heavy to not be able to put together enough competitive at-bats that in the 9th inning of a game, after you watch this, trade deadline acquisition of Bader, who no one really knew what to expect out of, he delivers that kind of moment where you say, yes, that is the moment that things shifted for this team. That was the thing that started to get them to get their heads squared on, and then the Phillies asserted their dominance. They go out, they pick up another run or two in the top of the 9th, they give it off to Duran. Duran has a shutdown 9th inning, and then you feel like, all right, momentum has shifted again. Now we're good. Now you're going into the series finale. Whatever happens, you've at least broken that curse at Citi Field, and you're feeling a little bit better. These guys just seem to come up small in these big moments. That's a concern, and it's been a concern in the postseason. And maybe it doesn't matter right now. It's the second game of a series in August. But, man, I don't know. So much of it to me is a tone-setting thing, and so much of it is you need to prove you can win at this park because they have been unable to do so for years. It is a legitimate issue.
Well, I think it's in their heads a little bit, for sure. But I don't know if it ultimately matters. Are you playing here in October? I mean, what are the odds of playing here in October?
Probably not high, but I don't know if that really matters. If they get swept, Ant, let's just say hypothetically, they get swept. They go out and they lose tonight.
Yeah. Yep.
This Mets team rides emotions, right? This Mets team, when they get hot, they get hot. The Phillies have had issues for, a month and a half, where they haven't been able to close out a sweep, where it's been like, all right, you get 2 out of 3, but you drop the series finale. They don't always have that.
They swept the Mariners last week.
They swept the Mariners last week. That was one. But they don't have this, constant killer close it out. You win the first 2, you drop the third. I'm worried. I'm a little bit worried about the Phillies, Ant. I'm a little bit worried. You don't seem worried.
No, it's not that. It's the reason. It's not that I'm. You shouldn't be worried because this is what baseball is what I'm trying to say. every team goes through the same thing. It's pot. You get in, and then it's going to be wild. I'm telling you, I'm not predicting the Phillies go to the World Series by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think that they are, but that's not because I think that they can't. I think that it's just that baseball is so even this year. Like every team is about the same that it makes the odds of them being the team that gets there that much harder because everybody's going to be about the same. It's not like in years past where you would play a team you played the Marlins in the first round, like, okay, you're going to beat the Marlins, right? Like that's not a worry. Like you're not having that this year.
Them, yeah.
Right? You're having that this year. You're not having that this year. And I think in both leagues, like if you ask me today who I think the two World Series teams are, I guarantee you it'll be my prediction will change by the time the playoffs roll around because the teams are they're interchangeable right now. And so I look at it and say, yeah, you could be worried about the Phillies, but the Phillies have just as good a chance as anybody else because they're all the same, all these teams.
Yeah. They might not have been all the same if Wheeler were healthy. Unfortunately, that's like the ultimate wrench that gets kind of thrown into the machine here. And we'll see if they're able to kind of, weather that storm. I have to think that it's going to galvanize those guys. And prior to this series, it felt like it was starting to galvanize the team. You hope that obviously, like, I don't know, win it for wheels or something becomes the motto in the locker room.
Yeah, and look, even in this series, Russ, I thought that they got after Senga really well in the first game. They lost 13-3, but it wasn't a 13-3 game, right? It was a much closer game until Jordan Romano and Joe Ross lit it on fire. They got after him. They got him out of the game early. They didn't have as much success against Minaya yesterday, but they got after the bullpen yesterday. So I think that the galvanization of what they need to do is still occurring, even though they've lost a couple of games. Yeah, and here's the last thing I'll say about it, because I know you want to get to the hockey thing because I got to run.
Yes.
Let's say they win tonight, right? They win the game tonight, right? Everybody's like, you just needed to get one up in Citi Field. Would it have made a difference if they won it last night and then lost today? Like, what would be the difference? Like, see what I'm saying? Like, I think that there's always an in-the-moment overreaction with baseball that you cannot have. You got to take things more collectively with baseball. It's just because it plays every day. Unlike football, hockey, basketball, where there's usually time off between games, you can't do that in baseball. You just really can't.